Hello.
Sir.
Yeah, can you start, Krishna?
You can start.
Okay. Okay, can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay, so last week we discussed about the business partner approach. We understood how we need to create the customers and vendors into SAP S4HANA, which has been changed compared to how we were doing in ECC, right? And as I told you, the next topic that we'll be discussing is the changes in the material master. So how the material master has been changed compared to the traditional ECC system? That is something which we need to discuss today. Okay.
Gaurav,
So yes.
we are not able to create BP in 1610. Still there is a dump is coming.
You are still getting the dump?
Yeah.
Okay. What are you trying to do? Which role you are selecting?
First I will create business partner, then I will create a FI customer, then I am trying FI. If I try to create FI customer, then the dump will come.
Okay, during the time of vendor, you mean the error is coming.
Vendor also error is coming. To try
Oh,
to
yes.
save it, it's going dump. Almost all. I
Okay, okay,
informed
okay.
Krishna, so he told that he will inform system administrator.
Right. Okay, I'll also check this today. I'll
Okay.
definitely come back to you on this by tomorrow. I need to solve
Okay.
this. So if
Okay.
it is a system administrator error, we need to contact technical, but if it is something
I
related
don't
to...
know because I told Krishna, I told that this is a problem in the last class also. We were practicing in 1511. Then he told that I will check with Gaurav and let you know.
Yes. Okay, not a problem.
Yeah, we can continue.
Yeah. So today, as I told you, we'll be discussing about the changes in the material master. There are some small changes in the material master, not like the ones we discussed in the business partner, because the customer, vendor and business partner, this is something which is a big change because the way in which we were creating and all that is something has been completely changed. But if I talk about the material master, it is not much change because MM01 will work, the transaction will remain same. The first change that you will see is that the length of the material number. So earlier, what was the maximum length? It was only 18 characters. So you can create a material master with material number that is maximum of 18 characters. But now with SAP S4, SAP is providing the option that you can create the material up to 40 characters. The material number can be up to 40 characters. Now coming to why exactly this requirement came and was it not available earlier in ECC? So this is not a new requirement. The customers, some of the customers in discrete industry, automotive industry, they were already asking for this particular requirement even in ECC also. But what SAP has done is they provided the SAP note. Okay, and if you implement that SAP note, the functionality becomes available. Okay, you can use up to 40 characters. Even in case of the customers who are using the DIMP solution, DIMP solution, in that case, by default, if you activate the DIMP components, it was supporting up to 40 characters. But normally, if I talk about the normal scenario when we are not implementing DIMP, we are not implementing any of the SAP note, it was only supporting up to 18 characters. Now in SAP S4HANA, even if you don't activate DIMP, even if you don't activate any SAP note, by default, SAP is allowing you to create the material up to 40 characters. Now it is your choice whether you want to use this functionality or you don't want to use this functionality. If you want to use this functionality, you need to activate it from one of the configuration. So for example, currently because I have not activated that functionality, if I try to create a material with more than 18 characters and click on enter, although this error is in German, but this means that it is still only supporting 18 characters. So what we need to understand now is where is that configuration from where we can maintain that yes, we want to use the functionality of having more than 18 characters. And then the second question is, if system is supporting up to 40 characters, if we activate that, is it necessary that we need to use 40 characters only? Can we not use the characters in between 18 and 40? So for example, if I want to use only 25 characters, is it possible? Okay, so these two things I'll show you first of all before going to the next things. So that particular configuration is available in SPRO. Within the SPRO IMG, you will be going to the general application functions, which are available in the cross application component. So cross application components, general application functions, and here you have this field length extension. Okay, and here you will get the option of activate the extended fields. Before I go into the execution part, let's go through the documentation, what exactly it is trying to say. So in this customizing activity, you can activate the usage of following extended fields in external communication interface. It is only providing you one option, that is extended material number. With this activation, in relevant external communication interface, I'll talk about this, such as BAPIs and ADOCs, the system uses only the extended version of the field. For example, the material long. The extended material number can have the maximum length of 40 characters, and there are the following settings. So if the checkbox is not selected, then system will consider the standard settings, which means it will support only 18 characters. So currently it is not selected, the checkbox is not selected, and that is the reason we are only able to create the material with the maximum length of 18 characters. And if you click the checkbox, if you select the checkbox, so what will happen, for the external communication, the system only uses the extended material number field. Now requirement is, before you activate the extended field, you must ensure that all your communication partners are able to work with extended versions of the field. Communication partners can be the business partners or other SAP ERP systems. For example, the SAP CRM. Standard settings, as long as you have not activated the extended field, the system for compatible reason does not allow field longer than the length. Now let me tell you the complete understanding of what exactly is written here. Some of the things you got the point, while some of the things like what is communication interface, BAPIs and IDOCs, what exactly it is trying to say. So let's take an example. If you are using the SAP S4HANA system independently means you don't have any external interfaces. Okay, so in that case, if you activate the material length functionality of 40 characters, what will happen? You will be able to create the materials with more than 40 characters, more than 18 up to 40 characters. Now let's say you activated this functionality and you have created some materials with 40 characters length. Now if you are using some interfaces, if you are trying to send this data through IDOCs or BAPIs or any of the SAP or non-SAP systems to some other ERP, or maybe within SAP you are sending the data to CRM, let's say for example. So it is also important that your other application, which is taking the data from the current system, that should also support up to 40 characters. Okay, which is a very rare scenario. So if you are using the 40 characters in your current system without any interfaces, there is no harm. But if you want that the interfaces also should be able to work as they were working earlier, in that case, if you are activating this functionality of 40 characters, you should ensure that your other components also supports that. Otherwise, what will happen? So you created a material with 40 characters, and when you are sending this through iDocs to CRM, which is only supporting up to 18 characters, it will throw the error, right? You will not be able to perform this movement from the ECC to the other systems, or SAP S4 to other applications like CRM and SRM. So that is the reason what SAP is trying to say you is the requirement is before you activate the extended field, you must ensure that all your other communication partners are able to work with extended version of the field. If they are not, then it is not recommended to activate this functionality. And saying that, it is also impossible. Once you activate this, you cannot come again. You cannot come back to 18 characters, because what will happen is once you create a material, if a material exists for 40 characters, you cannot go back to the settings and say, no, I don't want to use this functionality now. So it is always important that don't activate this functionality blindly. If you really need this functionality and you think, yes, my external interfaces will remain unimpacted, because maybe you will be doing something on your external interfaces also, which will start supporting 40 characters. But if not, it is not recommended to activate this thing at all. Okay, same thing it is trying to say here, that although it is possible from the system point of view to activate it, but before activating, please make sure that your external interfaces are unimpacted. So how are you going to activate it? I'll click on this activate extended fields. I'll click on new entries. So currently, as you can see, it is not checked. Checkbox is not selected, which means this functionality is not active as of now. If I want to activate, I need to click on this tick and click on save. But before that, you also need to, if I press enter, what it is saying, an entry already exists with the same key. Let me see what it is. Cancel. Okay, if I try to save, I think this will ask me for confirmation. Just a minute, this is something which is unexpected. An entry already exists with the same key. Entered a key which already exists, the entry cannot be created. See, now once you click on this display SAP note, then only this is becoming active, because it should not happen that you are not clicked on this and you are just going ahead with making this tick. So what it is saying is, it is always recommended to go for this SAP note first, go through this, understand this, what is written in that, and then only take a decision whether you want to activate this or not. Okay, so I'm not going to activate this, because once it is activated, you cannot roll back, right? So you need to be very much sure whether you want to activate this functionality or not. Otherwise, what will happen is you will be OMSL. In the OMSL, you were saying how many characters you are going to use. So currently, although it is mentioned as 35, it will not allow because it is not supported from the activation point of view at all. So it cannot support more than 18 characters. So if I activate that particular functionality from there, and if I come here and say I want to use only 30 characters or only 35 characters, so that is only up to that only it is allowed. It cannot go beyond that. Right? Any questions till now?
So, Gaurav, how will the mark sheet table look like for the material number character length after
Yes, I'm
activating
coming
this?
to.
Okay.
So then I'll come to the table level. Yes. The next thing is that only I'm going to talk about what will be the impact on the standard tables, because it is not only the Mara table. There are a lot of tables which are affected whenever you change this, because whatever transactions you do, MAT, DOC, the new table, even the MSEC, and there are a lot of other tables where the material is going to be stored. So what will be the impact on that? And even if you have created some Z objects, like some Z tables or maybe some Z reports in which you want the material number should be available. So what you need to do and how exactly that will be taken care, that is something which we'll discuss. But anything till now, whatever we discussed?
Gaurav, and this is Vijay. Suppose we activate for 40 characters and we haven't created any materials, then can we deactivate that, or without even creating material we can't deactivate?
No, if you don't create any material, then you can definitely deactivate, because it will create the inconsistency only when the material exists with the more number than you are specifying here.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. But it is always risky. So it is always better to make sure that you are not going to come back once you activate this.
Gaurav?
Yes, Arijit?
Yeah, actually, so what I gather from what you had said is, I mean, first of all, if we want to extend the material length, first we activate the functionality from SPRO, and then suppose if we
Yes.
want 30 character length for material number, we have to enter 30 over in this field, and then both will be activated. Is that what you have said?
Yes. Yes, you're right. See, this is not a new screen. The current screen that we are seeing, this OMSL, this is the old functionality. What exactly it does is, although in ECC, we have the maximum cap of 18 characters, right? But still, if you want to have the materials of lesser than 18 characters, we can come here and we can specify that for our purpose, we are only going to use 10 characters. Similarly, now also, from the functionality point of view, when you activate the extended number functionality, so system supports up to 40 characters, but it doesn't mean that always you need to create the 40 characters material. So you can specify that although 40 are available, but we want to use the materials only up to 30 characters.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Gaurav, what is this lexicographical?
Lexicographical, I need to check, because this is something which was even available in ECC also, the leading zeros and lexicographical. It is just a minute, it's giving the example. Or maybe somebody who has worked on this can comment on this. I think this is the.
This is the Ravi. The way it is stored is what it is actually.
Yeah.
So normally it is.
Basically, if you look at Excel sheet, when you store, let's say 008, it can become 8, right? Sometimes, unless you format the cells and make it as a character. Generally, it assumes that okay, 008 is 8. So that is what it is mentioning, or that is what it is used for. So basically, this is saving. This whole functionality is about how it is stored, and if you're like, for example, even if you activate the 40 character and mention 25, it's basically optimizing the storage.
Okay, so internally in the database, you mean to say if there are leading zeros, they will not be considered, and it will only consider the numbers which are available.
Correct.
Right, so let's go through these examples. It will make clarify. So what it is saying, the way numerical materials are stored in the database, it is also possible to set this indicator if no numeric material numbers have been used yet in the system, since they would no longer be interpreted. Okay, if this indicator is not set, numerical material numbers are padded with leading zeros and stored right justified. Yes, we know normally when you create any material. So let's say, for example, the same example that I think somebody has given now. So let's say, for example, if you create a material and you, sorry, there is a background noise. Yeah. If you have created a material and in your configuration, if you said, I'm going to use 18 characters, and you are creating the material with 5 characters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So normally what happens in the background, in the table level, it gets stored as the leading zeros. So there will be 13 leading zeros, and finally it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is something which is unnecessarily consuming the memory, because the zero storage is also something which definitely will consume the memory. So if you want that it should not be stored in that way, you can tick on this indicator. So what will happen is internally, externally assigned number will be created like this, and this is the normal behavior. But if you tick this will be stored as this only, 1, 2, 3 only. Okay, there are some other examples also. Let's try to understand this. Material numbers are stored as follows. If the material number was assigned externally, yes, it will be stored in the same way. If it is 1, 2, 3, it will be only stored in 1, 2, 3. Okay, and that may have been stored too. This makes it possible to distinguish between the any leading zeros that may have been entered are stored too. Okay, so if somebody has written 0, then to distinguish between the material numbers 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, yes. So what will happen is, if you specifically write 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, then that will be considered as a text and it will be stored as it is. So let me give you the example. Let me just remove this. This is related to the last session. Yes. So for example, first talk about the material is, or this indicator is not set. Okay, and you are trying to create a material with 1, 2, 3, and the length that you defined is 8 characters. I'm taking the same example. So internally it will get stored like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 leading zeros and 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, if indicator is set, and if you create 1, 2, 3, it will be stored as 1, 2, 3 only. There will be no leading zeros. But if you are specifically, when you are creating the material, you are specifically giving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 1, 2, 3. Then the leading zeros will not vanish. They will remain as it is, because these two numbers will be considered as two separate numbers. Okay, so this is what the hexadecimal can give to you. But this is not new. This was available even in ECC also. Even this complete screen, OMSL, this is not a new screen. Only thing is, earlier it was only restricted to 18 characters. Now you can specify up to 40 characters. Okay, any questions? Okay, let me now talk about the table level. Now, see, if we just increase the length of this field, we also need to consider what will be the impact of this, because there are a lot of tables which are using this material number, and in the definition it has been mentioned that this will be up to 18 characters. So now if I am using, let's say, 5 different tables, just an example, there are many tables like that, but I'm giving you the example of 5 tables. Now if I want to extend the length of this from 18 to 40, so if I do this in 3 tables, by the definition, by the technical definition, if I go and change the field length from 18 to 40, and while the other 2 tables are still holding up to 18 characters, then it will be the huge inconsistency, and definitely system will throw dumps in that case. Okay, So what SAP has done, they made sure that each and every table, wherever these characters are being used, wherever the material number is used, they made sure that at all that places, it will be replaced from 18 to 40 characters. Okay, so it is already replaced from 18 to 40 characters in all the tables wherever this material number is used. But the problem is, if you have some custom tables which are holding the material number, again, there are two options. Within the custom tables, there are two options. So when a programmer, a webber creates any particular table or any particular query, normally he provides the length. There are two options of providing the length. One is hard coding. So if you know that, okay, I know material number is only 18 characters. So you can write, okay, I'm going to use this field and the maximum length is going to be 18 characters. And the second option is, even though I know that it is 18 characters, but I don't want to provide any hard coding there. I will provide the reference. I will always say, for checking out what will be the length of the material number, go to table Mara, for example, and find out what is the length and consider that length. So if you have written the code in the second way, if you followed the second approach in terms of identifying the length of a particular field, in that case, system will not throw any error. You can go further and it will be supported. On the other hand, if you are, or if your code is written in such a way that you have hard coded that it will be used only 18 characters, then definitely there is a problem. And the question here is, how will you identify? How will you come to know how many tables, how many reports, how many forms are going to be affected because of this change? So for that, SAP has provided one tool, which we are anyways going to discuss in detail, which is called as a custom code analyzer tool. What it will do for you, it will check all those places where it has been hard coded and due to which it will not be supported in the normal way. And what you need to do to rectify that, you need to go to that particular code and you need to adjust. Either you can again hard code, which is not recommended at all, from 18 to 40, or you can provide the reference of one of the table, one of the standard table. Mostly it is Mara. Okay, so in this way, from the standard point of view, you don't need to worry. SAP has already taken care wherever material number is used, it is automatically considered as 40 characters. Okay, even if you don't activate this functionality, then also it is considered as 40 characters, right? Because even it is not dynamic. It doesn't mean that if I activate the functionality from the last screen that we have seen, then only the material number will be supported as 40 at table level. At table level, it is always 40, right? Another important thing, if, as I told you, if you found that some of the tables, the Z tables, which are created without any reference to the main tables, they are hard-coded there, you need to make sure that these changes are done before you perform the conversion. Okay, what will happen otherwise, if you perform the conversion without adjusting that codes, you will definitely get the different kind of errors there and it will be completely incompatible. So that is the reason when you are using the custom code analyzer tool, if you find out that some of the tables are not compatible because the length is hard-coded there, you need to change it in ECC itself before migrating to SAP S4. Anyways, that will be talking about during the conversion. And last important point, as I told you, the interfaces. So SAP has already made sure the standard tables, whatever the standard scenarios are there, the field length is automatically adjusted. But SAP has not made sure that if you are using some interfaces like CRM, SRM, or some other components, or maybe SAP system, which is two SAP ECC systems are integrated, interfaced with each other, they are communicating with each other. So it should not happen that in one of the system you specified 40 characters and in other system it is only 18 characters. Again, that is a big gap, and that again you need to try to find out in the initial phase itself before conversion. Before conversion, you find out how many interfaces are there, whether they will be supporting this new thing or there are some changes required. in the other systems also before you activate this functionality. All right, so these are the things that you need to take care from the technical point of view. Any questions?
Yeah, Gaurav, this is Vijay again. This change of the field length for the material master is at the client level or at company code level or something, or why I'm
No, no,
asking
no.
is if there is an STO, there are two company codes, one company code send a purchase order, another company could get a sales order through STO in case of a POSO scenario, in which case if you activate once at the client level, that is good enough, right?
Yes, yes, yes. It is at the client level. See,
Okay.
we are not, even in the screen, you will not see any plant or any company code or any purchasing of. It is always at the client level.
Okay. Thank you.
That is the reason you just need to worry about the interfaces. Within the standard system, it is at the client level. So once you activate it, it will be activated for all the different tables.
Okay.
Okay. So, yes, Sharmila.
You said that irrespective of activating the functionality, the table will store the 40 characters for the material number. Right?
Sharmila, there is a lot of background noise. Your voice is not clear.
Am I audible now?
Yes, it is better now.
Okay. What I was saying is irrespective of activating the functionality, the table will store 40 characters for the material number. So
Yes.
when say there are interfaces, the custom interfaces which will involve the material number, so all that would need to be changed, right? Because by default it
No,
will
no, no.
show 40 characters.
No, 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 no. See,
No?
if although system supports 40 characters at the table level, but whatever settings you make, if you don't allow, if you don't activate that functionality, only 18 characters will be stored. The remaining 40 characters, for example, if I go for MM01, okay, when I'm creating the material master, although I am allowed to enter 40 characters here, but till the time I don't activate that functionality, it is always going to store up to 18 characters only. So that is only from the technical point of view that the system supports up to 40 characters. But if you don't activate that functionality, you don't need to worry about what are the numbers system is supporting.
So internally you will say that it will store only 18 characters, not even the leading zeros which like the 40 characters, if
No,
my
no,
number
no,
is
no,
say 1, 2, 3, it will
no.
only
See,
store
leading
15 zeros and 1.
yes, yes, yes. Leading characters are only stored if I'll show you here the last configuration that we have done. So here, if you specify, let's say for example, 18 characters, in that case, even if you create the material with 4 characters, then the leading zeros will come. Okay, but if you are specifying here 18 characters, then there is no question of the remaining 22 characters. They will not be holding the leading zeros at all.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, now this is the first change. Now let's talk about the second thing. Second things in the terms of what has been changed in the field level in the material master. So for that, let me just create one of the material. I'll just select this, let's say industry, sector and material type. So this is, let's say this is raw material and industry sector is, let's go for chemical industry. Enter. So I'll be entering the basic information like let's say basic settings, and what I want to show you is this foreign trade, export data, and if possible foreign trade, import, export, it is showing in, yeah, foreign trade import data. Let me just go through this. So the other things are same, like it is asking you for a plant, you'll be providing the plant. What was the plant that we created? Is it SL02? Am I right? I hope this is something which we created in the last session, the enterprise structure.
Yeah, I think it was SL02.
Okay. Okay, so this is something which is still missing. Company code SL02 is not set up in the materials management. This is because we are not initialized the company code. I'll do it from here. Okay, this is, even you can go from SPRO. I'll show you how to do that. This is again the same thing which we are following in ECC also, nothing new. So for our company code, which is SL02, we need to initialize this. So we need to tell the system which particular period is open as of now. So we are in 2017, and let me check what exactly is the fiscal year variant which we assign to our company. So I'll go to OBY6 to find out the fiscal year variant.
I think you assigned an Indian variant, which is March to April, or April to March, right?
V3, right? V3.
V3, yeah.
V3.
So which
Okay,
means
just
this
to
is quarter one, Q1.
Yes, this is V3. So quarter ones means we are in April, so this should be 2017 and 1, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all the things I'm not ticking, I'm just clicking on save. So at least now the company code has been initialized. I'll go back from here. Even I'll close this, and if I do this again, it will throw the error. So it is always better to go out and come again. So MM01, same thing. I'm just entering here and clicking on basic data, foreign trade export and foreign trade import. Plant, sales hog and distribution channel. Okay, now it is going, allowing us to go inside. So test material for SL02. Base unit of measurement, I will just keep it as EA. Material group, I'll just keep the first one. Okay, all other things. What I want to show you is foreign trade export and foreign trade import. Now, in order to make the comparison, let me open the ECC system first so that we can understand what has been changed. See, earlier this was also restricted to 18. Now the screen you can see, it is the field length is supported up to 40. It doesn't mean that it will always store 40 characters, but at least from the technical point of view it is supported. Okay, so now I'll do the same thing. I'll just select any of the industry. Let's go for retail or something. Material type, again I'm going to select the same one. Let's say ROH. Okay, and selection of views, I'll select the same view, basic one, foreign trade export and foreign trade import. Now, plant, let me take it as 001. Distribution channel, let me just see, 01.
Gaurav, while you're doing that, so this activation, is it like every, for example, if there's a landscape development, test, quality and then production, so do you need to do it every client level, or is it transportable kind of thing?
It is transportable.
Okay.
It is transportable. So you cannot do directly on one particular system. It has to be done in through the transport. Okay. So this is again the same thing. So I just enter any of this, base unit of measurement same, and material group also same. Now we need to understand this particular thing. Now before I talk about this, let me tell you what has been changed from the foreign trade point of view. So in ECC, we had foreign trade management, which was the component which was available in materials management from procurement point of view, and sales and distribution from the sales point of view. So it was basically used to comply with the foreign trade regulations. Now you must be also aware that apart from the foreign trade management, there was also another component called as global trade services, SAP GTS. Now foreign trade management, which was the component which was available within the ECC, Within the ECC means there is no separate installation. It was not an external service. Within the same configuration, configuration, you can configure the foreign trade management, and you can even do the transactions from the normal material management and also from the sales and distribution. While the GTS was an external component. It was needed to be installed separately, and it was connected through to your ECC. It is like CRM and SRM, which are connected as external interfaces. Foreign trade was being used from years, but around 8 to 10 years now, when SAP came up with GTS, most of the customers, I'm telling you according to my experience, it may happen that some of your customers are still on foreign trade management, but according to me, because foreign trade management was not supporting all the functionalities which are required from the compliance point of view, that is the reason most of the big companies, they already migrated themselves to GTS, Global Trade Services. Okay, and now since most of the customers are already on GTS, from SAP's point of view, most of the customers are already shifted to GTS. And that is the reason there is no point when we are building a new product, we should not concentrate on the old functionalities, which are used by very few customers, and they should also go now to GTS. They should also concentrate on the new functionalities rather than sticking to the old functionalities. So that is the reason the old foreign trade management, which was available within ECC, is no more available in SAP S4. And if you want to comply with the foreign trade regulations, there is only one option: go for GTS as a separate service. Okay, so foreign trade functionality from and SD, they are not available in SAP S4HANA. That is the reason you can see the fields which are available in the foreign trade functionality are very much restricted. Whatever fields are available, they are only for intrastate purpose. Only intrastate reporting is supported as of now in SAP S4 from foreign trade point of view. Otherwise, whatever things like you can see here, the EU market organization, preferences, legal control, whatever you were entering there, these things are not at all available. Only this foreign trade data, which is for the intrastate purpose, and this origin informations, some of the very basic fields are available. Otherwise, this EU market organization preferences and legal control, they are not at all available in the material master. So this is my material master in SAP S4. This foreign trade data, whatever I was getting here, you can see all these things are available as it is. But from here, out of these three options, you can see only origin is available. Only these two fields, country of origin and region of origin. All these things, they are now shifted to GTS. This is even the legal control. Okay, this is true for the sales as well as purchase, as well as SD. See, even in the foreign trade import also, you'll find that all those things are not available. Okay, so again, telling you the same thing, in ECC, we had two options: foreign trade management, which was the old functionality. Some of the customers might be still using, but that is something which is completely replaced with GTS in most of the clients. And that is the reason when SAP was developing a new product, they were thought of coming up with foreign trade, because most of the customers are already using GTS. And even if the customers are not using, now if they are going for SAP S4HANA, they should look for the new opportunities which are available in the SAP portfolio. So they decided to completely remove the foreign trade management functionality. And for each and every customer, now it is mandatory, if they want to comply with the legal requirements, they have to go for GTS. Okay.
One quick question, Gaurav. So when you say they have to go for GTS, is this GTS added as a bolt-on onto the S4HANA, or is it included in the S4HANA?
No, it is not included. It is still available as external service. Okay, and it is, even the licensing part is completely different as of now. So that is something which might be the problem to the customers, because earlier if they were using the foreign trade functionality that was available within your ECC, and you don't need to pay anything extra. But now when you are saying that SAP GTS has become mandatory, so if you want to implement that, the implementation cost, the licensing cost, that is something which needs to be borne by the customer. So it is not included. It is still available as an external service.
Thank you. Thank you.
But going forward, yes, but going forward, why this is done and what is going to be happening in future. So it is also going to be in the same direction. As I told you, what SAP is trying to do is whatever external services are available, they are trying to merge that within SAP S4. So like CRM and SRM, APO, we discussed that all these functionalities in coming uh, in near future, we are expecting that all those functionalities which are available on the external as external services till now through the interfaces, they will be merged within the core functionalities of SAP S4. So GTS is also going to be in the same direction, but that will definitely take time because currently SAP is focusing more on APO, SRM and CRM, even EWM. So these things will come first and then they will think about the GTS. Okay, so this is first thing that you can understand that the field level changes are there. Apart from that, if you go to purchasing other tabs, you will not find much of difference. There are obviously some differences in MRP views, all MRP views, MRP1, MRP2, MRP3 and MRP4. All 4 MRP views, there are some changes, okay, but it will be more helpful when you understand what has been changed in MRP first, rather than directly going into identifying the differences of why exactly these fields are deleted. It will make more sense when you understand how MRP has been changed. So normally what I do is the changes which are related to the MRP view of the material master, I take towards the end. Towards the end means whenever we'll be discussing about the MRP live functionality and MRP on HANA functionality. Right, so as of now, it is good if you remember two things from the material master point of view. First one is the length extension. You are provided with the option of going up to 40 characters, which was available in ECC also, but it was only available if you are implementing SAP Note or you are implementing a DIM solution. But now by default, SAP provides this option. Second thing is from the foreign trade point of view, since the foreign trade functionality is not available, you will find that the entries or the fields which are available in the foreign trade import and export data tab, they are very much limited since this functionality is not available. And as I told you, the third thing is related to MRP, where you will find some of the changes in the fields which are available in ECC vis-a-vis the fields which are available in SAP S4. And the reason is that MRP has been simplified and you are having two options, MRP on HANA and MRP live. So once we understand what these two things are, then it will make more sense to understand why there are changes in the field level. So that we'll discuss when we talk about that topic. Any question till now before we go to the next thing? Okay, so from master data point of view, we discussed about the two things. We first started off with the changes in the customer and vendor master data, and then we discussed about the changes in the,
So you said that the business partners need to be in sync, right, to use this long material functionality?
Sorry, can you come back, Pradeep?
Like even the linked business partners, like the vendors or from whom we receive the materials, or like they should be in, they must also be using this long material functionality, right? Like external interfaces.
External interfaces, yes. So if the external interfaces, you are using the external interfaces, so that external interfaces also should support the the extended field functionality. Otherwise, that will create the inconsistencies.
Like we can take an example of vendor, right? So we have this vendor material number in the PO, right? So sometimes we use that field. Like, will there be any impact on that? Or?
No. I got your point. So whatever additional fields you have, there is no impact on that. We are only talking about the main material number. We are not talking about the customer material number and vendor material number.
Because you said they also need to use the 40 character field, right?
No. I told you that if you are using the interfaces in terms of interfaces with CRM, interfaces with SRM or maybe APO, in that case, the second system which you are connecting with your ECC or current SAP S4 system, that must be supporting that extended functionality, not for the vendor numbers and vendor part numbers or customer part numbers.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so what I'll do now is, we need to start now one by one, because master data is done now. We need to start the functionalities. So first we'll start off with the changes in the materials management, then we'll proceed towards the sales and distribution, and finally we'll proceed towards the production planning. So today I will tell you what has been changed theoretically, and tomorrow, starting from tomorrow, I'll be showing you the practical scenarios where we'll be creating the purchase orders and we'll be doing the gate receipts, and we'll see how the data modeling has been changed. We'll see how the new output determination will work, what has been changed from the pricing point of view. But before that, let's try to understand what exactly we are going to see when we'll be doing the practical scenarios. So let me just open the PPT first. Okay, let me know once you're able to see the PPT. Can you see the PPT now?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So first of all, let's talk about the data model. So I hope you are aware of what exactly is data model, because we talked about this particular thing even in our demos in the first and second sessions also. So what exactly is a data model? Data model means the way in which the data is going to be stored in the tables. So as we discussed earlier also, that there are a lot of changes in terms of how the data will be stored in the tables. So earlier, if we were using the aggregate tables, indices tables, I'll give you the examples of that also. What exactly are the aggregate tables? What exactly are the indices tables? So now the plan is to remove more and more aggregates and indices and try to have common tables where all the data can be stored at one place, right? So that is something called as simplification in the data model. Now, simplification in the data model has been done throughout all the areas. Like in FI also, you'll find a lot of tables are completely removed. They are converted as the views, and as you must be knowing that the one main table which is from the financial point of view is AC Doc A. Similar to that, from materials management point of view also, there are some changes. There are some tables which are not going to be available as they were available in ECC, and there is one new table in place called as MATDOC. So that particular thing, I'll be just telling you what exactly has been changed first, and then we'll go to the next topics. So the SAP ERP 6.0, which means whatever version we were using till now. It may be 6.0 or it may be lesser than 6.0. So the inventory management data model consists of two document tables. Whenever you perform any inventory movement, whenever you do any issues, any receipts, normally these two tables are affected in the background, MKPF and MSEC. MKPF for header and MSEC for the line level information. Additionally, see, we all know that MKPF and MSEC, they were always getting updated in the background. But what we don't know is these are not the only tables. There are a lot of other tables also which gets updated every time when you do the transaction. If you remember the example that I shown you in first or second session related to table MARC, there is some background noise. Please mute yourself. Yeah, thank you. So I'd shown you one of the example of MARC or MARD. What exactly is MARC and MARD? These are the tables which are holding the aggregates. Now what is aggregates? So let me just show you this example in the Excel, which will help you in understanding what are the aggregate tables. Just give me a minute. Okay, let me know once you are able to see the Excel. Can you see the Excel now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you have table MKPF and you have table MSEG. See, normally what happens is whenever you do the goods receipt, okay, for let's say quantity 10 for the first time. So this is a new material for which there was no stock earlier. Okay, so what happens is in the MKPF you get the header information, okay, which will tell you from which, for example, what is the date of the materials movement, okay, and what is the time, okay. Maybe MKPF also gives you the information in terms of which is the accounting document which is correlating with the MKPF, with the material document. So the header information you get in MKPF, and in MSEG you get the detailed information like which particular material, how much quantity, how much rate, all that things you get in MSEG. But these are not the only tables, because if I give the example of MARD, for example, which stores the material information at the plant level. So when you create the material master, at the plant level, this table holds the information. Okay, the master data information is held by the table MARD. But it is not only the master data. Apart from master data, there are some additional columns in MARD, like unrestricted quantity. I'll show you in the system. Unrestricted quantity. So what exactly this unrestricted quantity is used for? This is a dynamic field. Normally master data tables are static. Static means they, I'll not say static, I'll say they are less frequently updated. The transaction tables are updated 1,000 times in a day, like MKPF and MSEG, they gets updated 1,000 times in a day because you are doing transactions again and again. But when you talk about table MARD, this is only updated normally. It is a material master table, so it should be only updated whenever a new material has been created or whenever an existing material has been changed. But that is not the case. What is happening is each time whenever MSEG is getting updated, there is also the updation in this MARD table in the field unrestricted quantity. So as I told you, good receipt is done for 10 quantity. In the unrestricted quantity, it will be dynamic field which will calculate and save as 10. So what it will say, for this particular plant, for this particular material, the available quantity is 10. Again, you do the goods issue for 5, okay, second transaction, it will definitely go into MKPF and MSEG, but it will also go into the MARD also. It will not add any new value. It will perform the calculation 10 minus 5. So available quantity will become 5. So what is happening every time whenever you are doing the transaction, every time whenever you do any material movement transaction, it is not only affecting these two tables, it is also affecting this MARD table. This is just one example. There are tens of tables which are called as aggregate tables in SAP. From materials management point of view itself, there are more than 8 to 10 tables. From financial, there are more tables. So there are a lot of tables which are holding the totals. Now the question is, why these totals are stored? If I give you the simple example, if in MSEG, I have two lines. One is plus 10 quantity, another is minus 5 quantity. So whenever I want to perform the report, whenever I want how much quantity is available, Can't the system go directly to MSEG and perform this calculation and tell me, okay, phi is available? Why it is not performing the calculation during the reporting time? Why it is performing the calculation during the transaction time? This is getting, calculation is getting performed at the time of transaction. Why not at the time of report? You have the answer, right? Because reports are already slow in ECC. If I've tried this logic and in MSEG there are 10,000s of transactions in a day. So if I want to perform the calculation of a particular material which is being transacted from 5 years or 10 years, you can understand how much time it will take to give me the result, right? That is the reason there are a lot of aggregate tables which are available in ECC. But now with SAP S4HANA in place or SAP HANA database in a place, these calculations can be done in milliseconds. Even if you have 10 years of data, you have a lot of data in one table, SAP HANA has a very powerful calculation engine. And that is the reason now after each and every transaction, there is no need of updating this quantity. It is not required at all. So what will happen? During the time of transaction, only your main tables will be affected. Okay, there is another main table which is added is MAT-DOC. We'll talk about this also. So MAT-DOC will hold all the transactions, 10,000 transactions in a day, so you can understand how many transactions will be available in a single table from last 10 years or 15 years. But then too, with the power of SAP HANA calculation engine, it will perform the calculations in milliseconds. That is the reason this calculations will be performed during the reports, not during the transactions. So how it will improve your performance? It will improve my performance because currently there are tens of tables which are updated after each transaction. Now, if I follow this approach, there will be only 3 tables, for example. So what I am saving the transaction time. It is quite obvious. If I do the transaction and if it is trying to update 10 tables in the background, it will take more time rather than updating only 3 tables in the background. So my transactions will become faster. My reports will become faster because I'm using the power of SAP HANA as a calculation engine. And my reports calculations are being performed in the runtime, that too with the higher speed. These are the 2 benefits in terms of transaction, in terms of report also. But another important major benefit, why we are looking for speed. So you will all agree. For example, we are around 15 people here in this class. If I ask all of you to do a transaction, same transaction on same material, okay, definitely system will take time. Why it will take time? Because if a single person is already working on a particular material, till the time all the tables are not updated in the background, if it allows the other person to do the transaction, it will create the inconsistency. I'll give you the simple example of bank. Same bank account, all of us knows the user ID and password. Okay, first of all, forget about the check that it will not allow you to log in at all. Multiple logins are not allowed, but considered as yes, multiple logins are allowed. So if you have, let's say, 50,000 available in your bank account and all of you are trying to log in into the same account and trying to do the transaction of 50,000. So if the system allows, it will be the big fraud, right? Same thing happens in SAP. If there is 50 quantity available and if I ask you to issue 50 quantity for all the 10%, 15% who are in the course in the class now, if I ask you to do the issue of 50 out of the available quantity of 50, system is not going to allow you because system creates locks. There are the data locks in the system. You may not be knowing as a functional consultant, but definitely when a person is trying to do the transaction on a particular material, if second person comes, it will not give you the error. It will not give you the error like it gives in master data. If you are changing the master data, if another person goes and try to change, it will throw the error that the other person is processing this master data. In case of transactions, it doesn't throws the error, but it makes the system slow. Till the time all the tables are not updated from the first person, it will not allow the second person to do the transaction. Although it will show that the transaction is working, it will allow you to wait, and once it is completed, then only the second transaction will be done. So this create the data locks in the system. But now with SAP S4HANA, with HANA calculation engine, the memory data footprint is lower. That is the reason the data logs will be definitely created because they are required. Otherwise, it can create the inconsistency. But earlier, let's say if it was taking 10 seconds to perform the transaction, now it will be within 1 second. So data logs will come down, which means faster processing. Okay, same thing is mentioned in the PPT. Let me just go back to PPT once again. So earlier, we had two main tables, MKPF and MSEG. Additionally, there were aggregated tables. So you know now what are the aggregated tables, which are holding the totals, which are getting calculated during the transactions. So the aggregateds were getting stored in several different tables. Some of these tables do also store material master. I have given you the example of MARD. It is not only storing the totals, it is also storing the master data attributes of material. Okay, so the tables which are holding both the master data information and the aggregates, they are normally called as hybrid tables because it consists of master data as well as transactional data. The tables which are only holding the totals, they are called as only aggregated tables. Okay, but now the new denormalized table called as MATDOC has been introduced, which contains the former header and item data of material document as well as lot of further attributes. So whatever information you get in MKPF, MSEG, all that information plus additional information is stored in MATDOC. So going forward, if you are, let's say, writing a query, if you want to create a FS for a particular report, you can directly go to MATDOC rather than going onto 3 different tables to access the information. Okay, all the information you will be getting at one place, that is MATDOC. So material documents data will be stored in MATDOC only and not anymore in MKPF and MSEG. This is something which you will find written in the simplification list. But if you check in the system, as of now, these are still getting updated. So we can assume that this will go off in future. But as of today, there is definitely the redundancy. There is definitely the repetition. Same information is repeated in MKPF and it is also repeated in MATDOC. But we can understand that this is because SAP wants to make sure that if they completely remove MKPF and MSEG and they realize later that some of the scenarios MATDOC is not comfortable, that will be a huge loss to the business and huge loss to SAP in terms of the reputation. And that is the reason they kept these options as of now. MKPF and MSEG is also available and MATDOC is also available. But going forward, once they have the trust or confidence that yes, MATDOC is getting perfectly all the results, then definitely these two tables are going to be removed. Otherwise, there is no point of creating the redundancy. So MATDOC will be the only table which will be holding all the information related to the materials movement. These tables will be deleted in future. What will happen to the other tables? So for example, the example that I gave you, MARC or MARD. Now you have written some reports, customer has written some reports, which are trying to get the information from MARC and MARD and that too from the field unrestricted quantity. So as I told you earlier, during the transaction, the calculations were performed and the unrestricted quantity was updated in real time during the transaction. And if at any point of time, if I want to know what is the stock available for this material on a particular plant, I can directly go to table MARD or MARC and get that information. Even the standard reports, the stock analysis, they get the information from these two tables. But now as I told you, these tables will not going to store the quantity related information. So what will happen to my reports? What will happen to my standard reports and what will happen to my Z reports? Standard report, we can understand SAP might have done something, so that will work as it is. But if I have, let's say, two reports, which are the custom reports, what will happen to them? So again, SAP knows that it will create the big resistance from the client if you don't provide them the solution. SAP has provided the solution for that also, which means you don't need to worry. Even if MARC is not storing the totals, but when you perform the same report that you return, that will still give you the same results. How? By redirecting the control internally to different tables. So it is like today, if I am asking MARC, what is the total available quantity? MARC is having that data. It is giving me, okay, this is the quantity. But now, since MARC doesn't have that information, and still I'm asking MARC, okay, what is the available quantity? MARC will not say, I don't have this information, and it will not throw any error. What it will do internally is MARC will ask the information from MATDOC. It will perform the calculation, and to the user, he will get the same information he was getting till now. So this internal routing has been done from MARC to MATDOC, right? Which means at any point of time, if you want to get the information from MARC, that will be still available. But at the same time, this information is not directly coming from MARC, it is coming from MATDOC. So MARC will not hold any data. It will not consume any memory resources. It will just redirect and get the information from other table. This concept is called as views, CDS views. CDS views are what? Which are redirecting you to some other tables. Okay, so what will happen? All the mentioned tables of SAP ERP world do still exist in HANA as DDIC definitions. DDIC definitions means views, as well as database objects, and the hybrid tables will still be used to store the material master data attributes. So we are not saying MARC table will be deleted. We cannot delete that because it is not only holding the unrestricted quantity, it is holding the master data. So MARC will remain as it is. It will hold the master data, but only thing is the field unrestricted quantity that will not be calculated during the transaction. It will be calculated whenever a user is asking some information, and it will be calculated using the HANA calculation engine and after getting the information from MATDOC. Right? So CDS views assigned as the proxy objects to all those tables, ensuring that each read access, same thing what we discussed, read access to one of the mentioned tables below still returns the same data as before. Okay, no need to worry about this conversion pre-check. This anyways we'll be talking about when we talk about the conversion process. Okay, so key takeaways. MKPF and MSEG are still available, although in the documentations you'll find these are no more available, they are still available. Okay, and the tables which were holding the aggregates, although they are not available as the data is not directly available in those tables, but SAP will automatically redirect the control to the tables which holds that data. And from the end user point of view, he will not realize also, but he will be getting the same information even at the faster speed because of HANA. Right? Any question till now?
Yeah, previous template. Uh, This is any example for this aggregated tables what we are storing?
Hybrid tables, these are the examples. MARC, MARD, MCHB, these are all hybrid tables. Why they are hybrid? Because they are not only storing the aggregates. If I have given you the example in Excel, let me open this on SAP itself. Let me show you.
Yes, both
See,
are
if
different. Aggregate and hybrid tables are different or same?
No, see, by the name, aggregates are the tables which are only holding the totals. And hybrid are the tables which are holding the totals plus they're also holding the master data. I'll give you the example, very best example. So if I go for table SE16N, okay, MARC. Now see, MARC, it is holding master data, material, plant, valuation category, batches, valid from, ABC indicator. This is all coming from the master data. Also, it is holding some aggregate columns, like as I told you, unrestricted quantity. So let me show you unrestricted quantity column here. Let me try to find this. Unrestricted. Okay, maybe some other field. Let's go for MARD. It is holding the totals, but it may not be the same name. So here it is definitely there in MARD. Yeah, see unrestricted quantity. So now this plant, storage location, maintenance level, current period, these are coming from the master data. While this unrestricted, this is the aggregate field. So since it is holding master data as well as aggregates, it is called as aggregate table. Okay, now if you want the example of total tables, aggregate tables, best example is financial table, FAGL Flex T. I don't know how many of you are comfortable on this particular table. I'll tell you what exactly this is. This FAGL Flex T table only holds aggregates, nothing else. There is no master data, only hold aggregates. Okay, and that is the reason, since it was only holding the aggregates, there is no need of this table, and this has been converted as a complete view. Okay, let's say for example, I'll tell you how to find out what exactly this will do when you ask any information from this table. So this table was available in ECC, and many reports, many SAP standard reports, even the balance sheet, profit and loss, they all come from this table. But now this table is not available at all. So what will happen to my reports? All my reports are based on these tables. If I remove this table, what will happen to my reports? So although this is deleted as a table, but this is still available as a view. I'll tell you how. So if I go for SE11 instead of SE16, so for FAGL Flex T, if I click on display, see this is available as a view, and I want to see from where the data will come internally. See, data is coming from FGLV FAGL Flex T. If I double click on this, this is again a view. Okay, from where the data is coming, it is coming from all these tables. Again, if I click on a particular, it is again a view. So ultimately, all the data is coming from one single table called as ACDoc from accounting point of view. So this is one very good example of the aggregate tables, which are only holding the aggregates. And there are some tables which are not only holding the aggregates, they are also holding the master data. They are called as the hybrid tables. Okay?
Yeah, fine.
Gaurav, Sharmila here.
Yes.
See, for this table, SAP might have taken care of while reading as well as the update part. Say in MARC table, if I add my Z field by extending the table, okay, then in that case, how do I update it into the that
Yes.
my table?
Yes, very valid question. So for that, if you have written some update code on a particular table which is no more available as a table, which has been converted as a view, then definitely that program will fail. Update and insert, these two things are only going to work if that table exists as a table. If that table has been removed as a table and available as a view, then update and insert code will not work at all. So how will you know that? How will you come to know that I want to make these changes here? So again, as I told you, in order to find out whether my custom objects will work as it is, or I need to adjust it before I go for the SAP S4HANA implementation, you need to use the custom code analyzer tool. So select statements will work as it is, while update and insert, they definitely need to be adjusted according to the new architecture.
So you'll be
Right.
showing that custom tool.
Sorry, Shamla?
You will be showing that the custom tool converter what SAP has provided.
Yes. During the conversion, we will be talking about that tool.
Okay.
Because that is only relevant in the conversion. During the time of new implementation, there is no question of custom objects because you are implementing everything for the first time. But when we talk about the conversion, that is
Yes.
the very important topic we will be discussing in detail.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gaurav,
Yes.
few questions. Um,
Yep.
Now, I understand CDS views, it stands for Core Data Services Views. So how do I
Yes.
know it's a view or a standard table? So one example that you showed, it was clearly showing as view. But for example, if you go to MAD, MAD or MARC, etc., so
Yes.
they are still showing as table. So so how do I know it's a view or uh, uh,
Yes.
a table? And
Okay.
the other question is, uh, I understand obviously SAP would have given a default um, CDS views. So how do I kind of find out what are the existing standard CDS views that I can access?
Mm-hmm.
And extending to what Shamila asked, so can I create custom CDS views? And
Yes. 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 Okay. Let me just answer this. So to answer your question, let me start with the first question. So how are we going to know? Although I was planning to take this in the tomorrow session, so we'll be discussing practicality in that. But since you asked the question, let me just tell you. So for example, I given you the example of Fagel FlexT, which has been completely converted as the view. Okay, so in SE11, okay, when you execute this, when you click on display, first thing you will find is that this view fields. Okay, normally this is only fields. In case of table, this will be only fields. This is one thing. Let me show you side by side. So if I open SE11 once again, and if I go for MARC, as you said,
yeah.
display, so you can see this is available as the fields. Okay, first thing.
So
Second thing,
no, so I thought, so for example,
Raghu, I understand your question. Just
okay,
give me 1 minute, that will be solved.
sure,
I got your point.
okay,
See, second thing is, if it is a table, then only you will find this information. Append structure, indexes, technical settings. This you will not find here. This all options are not available.
you're right. The table maintenance generator, correct? Yes.
Yes. Other thing, like as I told you, if it is a view, then definitely the data is coming from some tables, right? Which are
Yeah.
those tables? You'll find under this table and join condition. So maybe in some of the views you'll find direct table. In some of the views you can find one view is dependent on another view is dependent on third view is dependent. It can be like views can be created on top of views also. So it may happen that you can directly find a table. I think this is a table. If I show you, this is directly available as a table and it is coming from view also. Okay, so one table and one view. So this is how you can find out which tables are giving the data to this view, first thing. Now, as you understand these two things, the table and view, now coming to your question, I got your question. You are expecting that since MARC is also the aggregate table, why it is not converted as a view, right?
Correct.
So Raghu, I told you there are two kind of tables. One is the aggregated tables, which are only
Yeah.
storing the totals. And second is the hybrid
Hybrid.
tables, which are not only
Okay.
holding the totals, they are also holding the master data. So the tables which are only holding the aggregates, I can remove it completely because I can perform the calculation in runtime now. But if the tables are also holding the master data, I need some table, right? I cannot delete
Yeah.
that table.
So got it. I got your point. So there are some aggregate fields here. Have they been removed or they still exist but will not be populated?
Yes, these fields are still available. So for example, if I show you MARD, you will
Yeah,
be
the
able to see
largest.
this fields. Yes, you will be able to see these fields even in SAP S4HANA also, even the unrestricted stock. But the thing is, whatever value will be stored in this table or in this field, whenever you execute this report or execute this for a particular material or a plant combination, it will still show you the quantity,
Mhm.
unrestricted quantity, it will still show you, but it doesn't mean that
Yeah, it is
this
stored. Okay, got
quantity
it.
is, yes, this quantity is stored there. It is not stored. It is getting calculated
On
whenever
the
you
fly.
are performing the execution. Yes, on the fly.
Yep, got it. Got it.
Yes.
Gaurav, this is
Uh,
Vijay. With the same node, MKPF and MSAG, they were all, both of them are purely aggregate tables. They are converted to views now.
No. They are not aggregates. MKPF and MSEC, they were the main tables. They were the transaction tables.
Transaction. So whenever I do a material movement, it will update along with the MAT DOC, or it is coming from MAT DOC to MKPF and MSEC.
No, it is updating both as of today. But plan is MKPF and MSEC will be deleted completely going forward. So as of today,
Okay,
yes.
so both will be updated in parallel, MAT
Yes,
DOC
currently,
and MK.
yes, currently both are updated in parallel.
Okay.
Which is a repetition. That is something which is completely understandable because same thing is getting updated in two different tables. But this is only for the temporary. This is only the temporary solution. Since this is the new table, we need to build some trust and confidence into that, and then this will be deleted.
Okay.
So Gaurav, another question for me. So I do not see any difference between the view we used to have in ECC. I mean, that is exactly how we define views, combining, joining tables,
Yes,
etc. And so there's no really, so just that the name sounded very, hi-fi, CDS view. So I thought
yes.
there's something different here, but there is nothing.
No,
I can't see any difference. Is there any? If you know?
no. There is no difference. There is no difference. The name you will find somewhere, you will find HANA views, CDS views, or maybe only views, but they are all one and the same thing.
Okay, thank you. Just on that point, are we going to discuss CDS views in generally, especially with respect to the LIS and those tables, or later sometime? Because that is one of the big changes, right? The LIS structures.
Sorry, where exactly?
So the LIS, Logistics Information Systems, and the SIS systems, I believe they will be available in S4HANA. However, there is an option to, I think they will be replaced by views as what I read in the simplification
Yes,
document.
wherever there are changes in the tables that we are going to discuss anyways.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, let me just go to the slides once again. Yes.
Actually, you said that NKPS and MSEC will be, deleted and MAT DOC will come. So, as far as MM is concerned, are there any other tables which are getting deleted and new tables are coming in, or this is only with NKPS?
Arijit, sorry, your voice is not clear.
So you said that NKPS and MSEC will be deleted and MAT DOC will come into picture. Is there any other tables which are getting deleted as far as MM is concerned, or these are the only two tables that are getting changed?
No, there are a lot of things. So we'll talk one by one because we just started. So this is the main tables, but there are a lot of tables which you'll find in throughout the course, which will be deleted.
So as far as MM is concerned, you're saying, right?
Yes. In MMSD, there are a lot of tables which are either already deleted or maybe they are planned to be deleted. All these things we'll discuss. Okay. So I think we should stop here today. I have some other activity in next 10 minutes. So what we'll do is we'll start from here tomorrow, and also we'll start off with the practical. So whatever we discussed, we'll create some 1 or 2 purchase orders, and I'll show you when you do the goods movement, how exactly the new tables are going to be updated, what is the impact on MAT, DOC, MKPF, MSEG, all these things we'll see in detail, and also the simplified pricing, the new output determination. I don't think new output determination will be able to cover tomorrow, but in the next session you'll be able to understand how exactly the BRF plus is going to work. Okay, any
Just
questions till
question,
now before you stop? Yes, Raghu.
Sorry, Gaurav, it's a future question basically. The BRF plus, I'm very interested in that topic. So do we have in your the system that we are accessing or given access, do we have examples that we can actually build? That is a big topic, big change actually.
Yes. We have the scenarios. We'll configure the scenarios. We'll print using the new technology. That is all possible.
Okay. Just another thing though. This weekend is next weekend rather, the Easter weekend. I'm not sure about the audience from which places they are, but at least me and my friend are from UK, and we have a long holiday, which is
Okay.
14, 15, 16,
So
17. Can I check with others if
no,
we,
not required, because anyways what we'll do is the coordinators, Sana and Krishna, normally they do this offline and they will let us know. If you want, I can ask them to do it by tomorrow itself so that we can uh, announce tomorrow itself whether we have the session or not.
okay, thank you.
Gaurav, can we get this presentation?
Yes, yes, you have still not got. I'll ask Krishna to send it across to you.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Gaurav.
Okay. Okay, thank you all. So go through this video, and if you have any questions, you can definitely discuss this tomorrow with the practical scenarios. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.